You're probably reviewing pull requests wrong. Well, don't worry, almost everyone does it. But before we dive into fixing that, let's just take a step back. What's the point of a pull request? A pull request isn't just about merging code, it's a collaboration tool. It's more of a chance for the author to get feedback, improve their code, and learn from more experienced developers. As a reviewer, your job is to be a guide, not a gatekeeper. Some of the wrong things we do when reviewing a pull request are really quite simple and unfortunately quite common. Nitpicking is a big one. If you're focusing on minor formatting issues that don't seriously impact readability, that's better off left to a linter so you're not polluting your pull request with those type of comments. It can be demoralizing to get a pull request reviewed and have 40 different issues that are all formatting related. Just let a linter solve it. If you don't have one set up, you should work with your team and have that discussion and figure out how to lint your code in a way that everyone agrees upon or agrees to commit to. Another thing is being rude. A PR is not a personal attack. Keep your comments constructive and try to keep it professional. Arguably, maybe the biggest offender is just merging or rejecting without feedback. Or the LGTM looks good to me. It's not very helpful. So the right way to view a pull request would be understanding the big picture. So if you look at the PR's goal and not just the individual lines of code, what does it achieve? What does it set out to achieve? Second, you should focus on the functionality. If the code isn't clean, effective, and it doesn't work as intended, that's an issue. But those are the things that you should be looking at. Does it do what it's supposed to do? Is it efficient? Is it clean? Third, you should ask questions instead of dictating. Questions are a fantastic way to take a sentence that could be a stressful sentence to write or read and make that something that is a little more palatable. And it also puts you in a light where you're suggesting alternatives as opposed to trying to tell someone how to do something. It's better for the team culture. And I find that you're more likely to have a better conversation about the code that you're reviewing with that person. Similarly, you should offer suggestions and not just demands. There may be multiple ways to achieve the same outcome. If you don't have priorities set for your team, you should start there. Your team may prioritize readability over performance. So the chunk of code that you're reviewing that is all bitwise operations that are super performant may not be what your team is prioritizing, in which case, you could suggest, hey, I know that you can solve it this way, but we're choosing to prioritize readability over performance. So could we rewrite it like this? And then maybe use, in GitHub, there's a suggestion tool where you can write some code as a suggestion or some pseudocode to kind of help them get started. I always try to also celebrate success. So I acknowledge the author's hard work, especially if it's a newer developer or a junior developer. And I always try to point out at least one thing in the pull request that I really appreciate, whether that's really good test coverage, adding tests in an area that may not normally be tested, if it's proper use of an API, like not using, what's a good example? Map in JavaScript as for each, like clearly knowing the difference there, like celebrating those type of things. Or if it's just a lot of code and it knocks out a big ticket, you can celebrate that too. Great job on such a big pull request. I'm so excited to get this feature out. Lastly, you have a really great opportunity to be a mentor, especially if you're a more senior engineer. A good pull request can be a valuable learning experience. If you see something wrong, don't just say, this is wrong, do this. Take the opportunity to explain why and use it as a suggestion, because hopefully everyone's testing their code. Hopefully everyone's following the code guidelines, linters, practices that you all have agreed upon as a team. So when you see something that's maybe not the best solution, it probably is still a solution, right? And when you do that, and you look at that from a bigger picture and you say, here's another way for us to approach this, and explain why and why that approach is valuable, what it leads to that their approach does not. Maybe it's more maintainability. Maybe it's better performance, better readability. Maybe it just follows an existing design pattern that has already been used time and time again in your application. Those type of things can really help people grow. So ultimately, remember two things. Just be positive and encouraging, and focus on helping the code and the developer grow. If you follow these tips, I promise you, your pull requests and the culture on your team around pull requests will get better. So next time you open a pull request, just remember you're not reviewing code, not just reviewing code. You're also helping build a better developer. Thanks for watching.